Muslim Community Center. It's a consultative meeting regarding our future planning application, and we are very pleased to have some of our neighbors. We sent about 200 invitations to the neighborhood, and about 4 confirmations were received for attendance. Just to start the proceedings, I will let you know the basic housekeeping rules. The toilets and conveniences are just on the outside to the right. The exit doors, fire exits, just in case there is fire. We didn't have one for 12 years now. One's on that side, or one's on my left here, and there is exits on both sides over there and straight out to the street. We will start the proceedings by recitation from the Holy Quran. 2 young ladies here, one will be doing the recitation and the other will be doing the translation. Thank you.
Start.
Just one sec, just one sec. Let me give you this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful. Ar-Rahman, the Compassionate Allah. Allama al-Quran, taught the Quran. Khalaqa al-Insan, created man. Allamahu al-Bayan, and taught him how to speak and convey his feelings and thoughts. Ash-Shamsu wal-Qamaru bihusban, the sun and the moon move along the computed courses. Wan-Najmu wash-Shajru yasjudan, the shrubs and the trees prostrate in adoration. Was-Samaa'a rafa'aha wa wada'a al-Mizan, he has raised the heaven on high and created the balance. Allah tataghaw fil-Mizan, don't ever tamper with this balance. وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ, and establish weight with justice and do not give less measure. وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ, he laid out the earth for his creatures. فِيهَا فَاكِهَةٌ وَالنَّخْلُ ذَاتُ الْأَكْمَامِ, with all its fruits and palms having ceased clusters. وَالْحَبُّ ذُو الْعَصْفِ وَالرَّيْحَانِ, and grain with husk and scented herbs. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, so jinns and humans, which of your Lord's favours will both of you deny?
Well done, girls.
Thank you.
You can come now.
I'll now request Dr. Muhammad Fahim, who is the chairman of the trust and also the head imam of the center, to describe the activities of the center and something about our planning application. This will be followed by a short speech by Shamila Ahmed about the various activities of the center. Thank you.
My dear guests, dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon all of you, and many thanks for coming today to discuss the future plans, and we would be delighted to listen to your feedback, and if you have any concerns, would be so willing to address all of them. The purpose of this consultation meeting is for us to try and explain what we intend to do, why, and of equal importance to get your feedback, your views, your concerns. The Southwood for Muslim Community Center is run by a trust, the Qurani Murkuz Trust, which is registered with the Charity Commission. All our details and finances are available for everyone to freely see on the Charity Commission website. The trust is run by the trustees, all of whom are present today. And day-to-day management is with the service committee. As such, the trust and the center are run on professional lines. Pursuant to the trust deed dated 24th of February 2000, Charities Law and the Charity Commission, the management and ultimate responsibility of the center is entrusted solely to the Board of the Trustees. The office bearers of the Board of the Trustees are myself, Mr. Qaisar Malik, Secretary to the Trust, and Mr. Sulaiman Ali, Treasurer to the Trust. The Secretary to the Service Committee is Dr. Farouk Ahmad. So what is that we do at the center? Many people are not aware of the work which is going on here. They judge the activities by the look of the center from outside. When they come and say, oh my goodness, it's so big, you're having so many things going on. So since its reopening after the arson attack in 2000, the center has successfully served the community in a multitude of activities which have benefited the young and old, male and female alike, Muslims and non-Muslims. These activities include the following: Friday congregational prayers, monthly lectures, children's classes in the evenings at the weekend, weekly lectures organized by the women members and classes for improving English language and other practical skills. During the summer holidays, the center has organized activity days for children. Many local schools come and visit us. And I'll give you an example of some of them, not all of them. St. Albans, Snaresbrook Primary, Cleveland Primary, Oakdale Juniors, Churchfield Primary, Nightingale Primary, and Redbridge Primary. So they come on regular basis to the center. They bring the children here for an interfaith session. We had numerous charity fundraising in the center here. We raised a lot of money to support the victims of tsunami, earthquakes, drought, floods, etc., anywhere in the world, irrespective of their religion or race or creed. When it comes to charity, everyone benefits. The center has been granted license for registration of marriages by the Registrar of Marriages, London Borough of Redbridge, whose representatives supervise marriage registrations at the center. The center has hosted many successful events with the Three Faith Forum, Muslim, Jews, and Christians. We meet very regularly, and we pick up a topic, and we try to address it from the three religious points of views, and it's very interesting because everyone is invited. We hold a license as a place of worship. We act as a reporting center for race-hate crimes. We are members of the local REC. Our representatives have attended their training seminars and meetings. We are a member of the RIAG, Redbridge Independent Advisory Group, where we meet regularly with the local police to discuss community issues and how can we achieve peace and serenity in our borough and our country. We are also a member of the Muslim Community Forum, which meets regularly at Scotland Yard. We had a conference in 04 at the Town Hall on British Muslims and the challenge of sex, drugs, and alcohol, with participation from Redbridge Police and local health authorities. We have an active policy for cultivating good community relations. Every year we design a special Christmas card, and we send about 4,000 cards actually to our neighbors, to the Queen, to the Pope, and to the House of Commons, House of Parliament, House of Lords. And we receive very interesting response from all these people. We are a member of the Campaign for Peace and Justice. We are members of the Woodford Festival Committee, participating regularly over the last 4 years, providing an opportunity for the Woodford residents to visit the center and enjoy the arts, food, culture, and hospitality of our community. We have organized trips to the Holy Land, where Muslims, Jews, and Christians went together to the Holy Land for the last 4 years now. We do it annually, And it's very interesting because we'll have 35 people, maybe 30 are Muslim and the rest are Christian and Jews. We arranged a visit by a Palestinian Israeli mother to give a talk about their personal loss of family members and a new perspective on the Middle East conflict. We hosted a dialogue between Shia and Sunni imams at the center. We organized a presentation from the British Army. We invited the British Army to come and talk to us about the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And we had a question and answer session to open a dialogue between the public and the army. The invitation was open to everybody. We have organized monthly legal and medical surgeries at the center for all members of the society who can benefit from the free advice. We organize health training events at the center under the Heart Start program for both men and women under specialist doctors to deal with sudden heart attacks. MPs, councillors, police officers, and many others have come to make presentation at the center. All are welcome. We have facilitated monthly neighborhood watch meetings at the center, and we will continue to offer this facility to the police and neighbors in future as well. We regularly help local charitable causes, including the Hospice for Children in Woodford, Haven House, monthly supply of dry food items to the Refugee Collection Center in Ilford, and quarterly hot food service to the shelter in York Road in Ilford. Our volunteers went out in the community after the heavy snow this winter to help clear the snow from the neighborhood front gardens. This is but an example of the major things we are doing here. There are many others. And being a good neighbor, we positively encourage our members to respect and comply with all rules of being a good neighbor. In fact, we have a policy that if any member does not comply, then we reserve the right to ask them to go somewhere else. Just as simple as that. The center encourages all its users to ensure that they don't cause any hindrance to the local residents with careless parking or creating any noise. While we encourage the congregation to use public transport on Fridays, our volunteers monitor the traffic flow around the center and to ensure parking is done in allocated areas only. We have put up a visible permanent notice above the Primrose Road entrance, requesting the users not to cause any inconvenience to the neighbors. We have also requested the police and traffic wardens to regularly monitor the traffic around the center on Fridays so as to deter any parking violations. We also do not use these doors at all for access to the center, to respect the neighbors opposite the center. They are only for emergency use. We rent the car park on Primrose Road. We pay £15,000 to the council. The council closed this car park for 8 years, and we demanded during the 8 years to allow us to use it. It took 8 years to get the permission to use it, and it's costing us £15,000 a year. In addition, the center has installed bike stands to encourage and facilitate the use of bikes to travel to and from the center for local users. We encourage people to share transport. We encourage them to walk. We are also a green center. This is the only green center or green mosque in the UK. You can go on the internet and find out why are we green. The center continues to fully contribute to the betterment of all sections of the society and welcomes any suggestions for further improvement. Will the new plans increase numbers? The simple answer is no. The council approved the center as a community center and the place of worship which can open for its regular prayer timings and can accommodate a maximum number imposed by the council. We will continue to comply with this number. So what is the purpose of the new plans? I have described to you the many activities that take place here, but as you know, you can clearly see the space is limited and not efficiently laid out. The primary purpose of the new plans is to, number one, improve the facilities of the center for our children whose classes at the moment are held in a very congested area and to provide them with more room for their educational activities. Two, to make it a more attractive building in a prominent position that will be a benefit to the community. Number 3, to improve the layout so that various events can take place without inconveniencing each other, as at the moment. To provide the community, Muslims and non-Muslims, with a place for all to come and attend various events. Finally, to provide a number of flats to ease the housing problem in the area. Thank you for your attention, and I shall be available for questions at the end. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fahim.
Shamila, can you come?
Yeah. And I request Sister Shamila Ahmed to come and give her presentation.
Can you tell us who you are?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shamila Ahmed. I'm a solicitor in the local area, and I'm also attend this mosque regularly. I have done for a number of years. The reason I'm just going to speak for a couple of minutes is because I think it's very important that you understand this mosque treats women and expects women to be part of its congregation, and they are very important to the mosque as well. And I just want to sort of highlight some of the things we do. First of all, I run intermittently a legal clinic here. You can come to this legal clinic whether you're Muslim or not, whether you're a woman or a man. We do have a health clinic as well that's run intermittently, again by females. We do children's classes, we do a women's coffee morning, we do educational courses on marriage. Recently we did quite a high profile conference on protecting women against violence and abuse, and that's, that affects everybody, and it was open to everybody. We do lots of social events where women are the organisers and participators. It's a very women inclusive place, and that's whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, or of any denomination. And I think that's very important for you all to understand as well. I think that's it. But if you have got any other questions, or you've got any other concerns about the role of women, or if you just want to chat to me at all, I will be around for a while. So if you'd like to have a chat with me, you can do so. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
May I now request Helen Phillips to please say a few words. Helen has been an organizer of Senior Citizens Club at the Centre for nearly 2 years, and the activities are benefited, among others, by my mum as well.
Okay.
I've just been told off, actually. He said you didn't mention me.
He didn't mention the Senior Citizens Group for ladies, which is a very active, lively group. We use this room up here. It works very well. And one of the reasons why I'm supporting the extension of the building is because we have half-an-hour exercises, and the sisters have to be so careful they don't smack somebody in the face, because there's literally not room when we've got a good number, which isn't every week, but most weeks we've got eight at least. I mean, a full week it would be 10 or 12, and there literally isn't room in that room to do our exercises. And the mother and toddlers group use the next room, so we can't really sort of overflow into that. But I would give you a rough idea what happens, because it's quite interesting. I actually heard through my Muslim friends that a senior citizens ladies group in the QMT Centre was going to open in November 2011. And I need to say, excuse me for reading notes, but I haven't done a talk for many years because I've been retired. I was a social worker for the past 34 years and in this area in Redbridge, and I had a lot of experiences working with the elderly, which I enjoyed, and I asked if I could be of some help in the new group. I did not know it was going to be one of the best things that I have done, and first of all I was made very welcome. We meet on Thursdays at 10:30 to 12:30. We may start with a chat, new information, anything ladies want to talk about, and this often turns into an interesting discussion, especially when ladies want to talk about something. But the ladies always choose what they want to do because it's their group, it's not my group. I'm just there to motivate or if necessary. But the first thing I did get them to do was to start knitting squares, which quite a few ladies did. Then we sold the blankets to anybody who wanted to buy them. With the monies that we got, we actually bought some fleece blankets, which were bought cheaply in a sale, and they were sent to the first country that became in need, which we were all quite happy about. The other thing we do is 30 minutes exercise, which is voluntary. Nobody has to do anything. The group's there for the ladies. They choose what they do. If weather permits, we may go to a park, because Redbridge has got 6 or 7 really lovely parks. And we just do a short walk. And we've got transport available, because I drive and there's 2 or 3 other ladies that drive, so it's never a problem. And we meet at 11 o'clock Mondays in the mosque car park. But weather hasn't been permitting for some time, so we haven't done as much as we would like to. In the summer, we did a lot of trips. We went to Kew Gardens by train. We went to the British Museum to see an exhibition. We went to the Globe Theatre to see Shakespeare, which was in Urdu, which was nice for some of the ladies, but they do it with English subtitles, so it suited everybody really. We did a coach trip to Morden. We went on a trip from on the Thames from Greenwich to the Eye, which was lovely. And then we went on a boat come tank, which is an amphibian, which was used in the Second World War, and it's based near the Eye, and it does a tour around London, then it goes down the slope on the river. It's quite scary a little bit, but the ladies loved it too. Then we went to the cinema to see a suitable film, and also on several occasions the ladies have done afternoon tea in their own houses. I took them for a drive to High Beach to see all the autumn colours. That went down quite well. And basically that's it. It's a lively group. The ladies really enjoyed themselves, and of course a lot of them are retired ladies, they're widows, they're living in extended families, which I have to say seems to work very well. But it gets them out, because their children are going to work, grandchildren are at school, and instead of sitting at home, they're actually doing some knitting or getting out, and it really seems to be very good for them. And it's open for everybody to come, but we do need more space, because we're if everybody turns up, we actually can't do the exercises because there isn't room. So yeah, it's a very lively group, and for me it's been wonderful, because I've made so many new friends. And when we go out as a group, I can't emphasise this enough, everybody looks after each other. There's nobody in charge, there's nobody. I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just there. I'm not really needed, actually. It runs itself now. But I didn't say that. But I love it, and it's a wonderful group. And this is another very good reason that I support the idea of a new extension.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
My mother enjoys and looks forward to the testimony.
Now, you didn't tell us about the film. Was it a PG or? You said no.
It was the Marigold Hotel.
Okay. That was not bad. And we are the only centre in Britain which has women trustees. If you go on the internet and search, the only place in the country, in the UK, which has women as trustees on the board. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, Helen, for an insight into the activities. You mentioned mothers and toddlers as well. That is another activity that we hold on Thursdays, where young mothers with little children, preschool age, the activities are held for them, and we have tea and biscuits and coffees, and the children have a little play area as well, and mothers are given opportunity to talk while activities are held under supervision over the period of 2 hours that they have the time to chat around. This is well attended, and we would welcome those who have not been attending this and make it more useful and interesting activity for their family. I would now ask if there is any member of schools. We invited some teachers from the schools who have been attending this center. So if there are any members from any schools who have been attending this center, if they want to say a few words, they are most welcome. Mr. Bond, please come in the front here. You're too far away. We've got empty seats in the front here.
It will cost you more to sit here. That's
Right. So I would now ask our architect, Mr. Shahid Salim, who has done the drawings, to give a briefing on and give a presentation about the project, and he will be giving projection on the screen as well of what has happened, and also verbally explain the various processes through which we have been so far. And I would be grateful that any questions that you may have in your mind, we would like to ask them at the end, at the question and answer session.
You can make notes of it.
Yeah.
Right. I think this works, but you can probably hear me anyway.
Just check that I crossed the button. The
You
button.
did actually. Yes, it does work.
On
I'll speak a bit louder so you can hear me anyway.
not on.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's
Yeah, it's
not
fine.
on. It's not on. Dr. Fain, can you? No, just check the.
It's part of your makeup now.
makeup as well.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about the process that we've been through so far in terms of the redesign of the centre and extending the centre. And we've been through a pre-application, or we're going through a pre-application process with the council at the moment. So we are having meetings with the planning authorities, and we're going through various issues as they come up. One of the things I've noticed is that the pictures are quite dark, so I'll quickly go through the pictures. Maybe the lights will help you.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Yes,
Much
yeah.
better. Thank you.
So, obviously, as you know, everybody's familiar with where we are. So, here's the site at the moment, single-storey, freestanding building. It's quite an interesting and awkward location and configuration. In that it's an island, it's what you call an island site. It doesn't fit into any of the kind of existing urban pattern in the area, which is characterised by sort of rows of terraced housing. The rows of terraced housing and the obviously the shopping parade on George Street, and it's a kind of a location where the urban pattern starts to change from the sort of shopping street, and which is slightly higher density, slightly taller buildings, into this more residential zone. And also we start to get the transport infrastructure on the edge of the site as well. So it's a very interesting location, offers a number of opportunities and potentials. This is just an ordnance survey plan just showing the location of the site along Harvey Road, just getting you're familiar with. This is the existing building that we have at the moment. This is the main prayer hall, this area here, and there's an office section at the front there, and the entrance here which you came into, and it's the single-storey sort of elevation as you see there. And these are sort of just photographs which are quite dark, but I'll just kind of go through them quickly, but you know what the site looks like. This is actually from the railway bridge, the view, and this is from the viaduct looking into the site, and from George Street looking along. Now, the question arises: how do we? What's the appropriate way of developing this location? Because whatever we do, we're increasing the size of the building, and that's going to have an impact on neighbours. It's going to have an impact on the street scene, and we need to do it in a way which is respectful of the environment around it, and also that it doesn't cause a detrimental impact to the amenity of any adjoining owners. So those are the key things that we're looking at in terms of the scale and the massing and the bulk of the building. And then the second issue is, what's it going to look like? the committee have been quite clear that it's not a mosque, as it were. It's not a full-scale traditional mosque, which is what this kind of thing is. This is a mosque in Blackburn, and this is kind of the way that a typical mosque in the UK might look today. And this is not what we're trying to do, mainly because the way in which the centre positions itself is that it does lots of other things other than religious worship. The kind of a place of worship is obviously part of the centre, but there's a whole range of other activities which are central to the organisation, and that needs to be reflected in the building. So we don't want it to be sort of typecast as simply as a mosque. This is just another image of another sort of fairly typical mosque, which is again what we're not trying to achieve, to do with this building. This is a building, a school in Brentwood, which is recently completed, and we started looking at other kinds of examples of the type of design that we might start to look at on this site. And it's built in a traditional material of brick, which corresponds with the surroundings, and also the original school building, which is about 400 years old. And what the architects here have done is they've used the brick in a sort of fairly innovative way to bring elements of decoration back into this facade, and by doing that they've tied this new building into a tradition of sort of Victorian decoration that you would get on the original building and on buildings that were built sort of 100 or 200 years ago, but it's distinctly contemporary in its treatment of that material. This again is a building in Edinburgh. It's an extension to the National Museum of Scotland. Again, a bit dark, but the idea, I mean, this is the sort of traditional 18th century museum, and the extension is recently built, but you can see that it's using materials which are traditional and sort of reflective of the history of Edinburgh, but it's treating them in quite a contemporary, modern way, in terms of the forms and the vocabulary, but it still ties it in to the history of that place. Again, this is a recent building. You can't quite see it, but this is a brick building with different layers of brick forming different kind of patternwork, and this is a building in Belfast. And this is the Ismaili Centre, you might know it, in South Kensington. And this was built in 1985. Again, a very sort of modern interpretation of a religious building. This one's actually clad in granite, and it's a more contemporary and abstract approach to that. And then this was just again another example of a sort of, this is actually a concrete facade with different kinds of layering and different kind of treatment of windows. And this is a mosque in Singapore. And one of the things that we thought was that it would be good to look at different ways of representing the religious character of the building without overplaying it, obviously, because it's more than a mosque here. So we're looking at different methods of signifying that there is the cultural background of the centre. And this one is the mosque in Edinburgh, so again it's a more this actually has been called a sort of Scottish baronial mosque because it picks up on the language of castles in Scotland, and sort of brings that into this kind of mosque architecture, combining these different languages. This is one that we're doing in Hackney, actually in Tower Hamlets, but it's on Hackney Road, where this is a 3-storey extension to the house, which is currently a mosque at the moment. And we've taken a traditional Islamic tile pattern and abstracted it and turned it into something which can read as an Islamic building, but also as a building which kind of works in its neighbourhood, in its own sort of place, as it were. And it's just a detail of the facade. And what we're interested in is trying to create a building which is rooted in a British cultural context. So it's not necessarily an architecture that has simply been literally transplanted from a Muslim culture simply because it has a Muslim cultural heritage, but it's interpreted along the way so that the architecture reflects the fact that the community that is using the building is multicultural and is a British, a Muslim and wider community as well. So the architecture needs to speak to a number of different cultural backgrounds, really. So that's our kind of idea of the aesthetic approach that we're going to be taking, or we're going to try and take. When we started looking at the building itself, we started looking at how do we, obviously the pressure is on space, and how do we create enough space so that all of the activities can take place. So we started looking, the first sort of more obvious thing to do is to say, well, this is the site that we have. If we were to create, if we were to try and maximise the amount of floor space that we can get out of the site, what happens to the building? And we looked initially at taking the floor space, taking the site boundary, as it were, and creating an additional floor from that. And we looked at potential treatment of the elevations and of the facades. Now, because there'll be different things happening on each floor, so on the lower floor, the idea is to maintain the prayer hall. On the first floor, the idea is that we create a community hall. And the community hall is that space which is going to be alleviate the current pressure that there is on this prayer hall, because as the speakers were saying, the problem at the moment is that there's a number of different activities going on in one prayer hall. The prayer hall then has to be used for a number of different things, and it's not fully appropriate for all of those different uses, and it causes a sort of a confusion. And then also sometimes some of the activities, like the social activities, the lady was saying, can't take place because there's not enough space. So the first floor would have the community hall on it, and then the floor above that, so there's a second floor which would have the residential apartments. And the idea is, because we're already slightly lower on this floor from the street level, it wouldn't be a fully 3-storey building, it would be a sort of 2.5-storey building, because the lower floor is already dropped into the ground. So we're looking at different treatments of that building initially. And one of the problems is that when we try to create a sort of regularized facade, because it's a irregular site and it has its own very distinct character, if we try to create a facade which has a kind of regularity about it, we end up having to sort of block parts of it off because it doesn't work in relation to the plan. So that was one of the challenges that we had with that sort of approach. So we started to look then at the different ways in which sort of different aesthetic languages that we could introduce into this building, which reflect the cultural background of sort of people that use it, but also obviously, like I was saying, it can also refer to a wider cultural background as well. And we started to look at the fact that sort of Muslim cultural heritages have quite a long history in the architecture of this country as well. So it's not simply that we'd be bringing in something which hasn't been, doesn't have a place in the UK. So for example, you probably know Brighton Pavilion, which was built in the sort of 19th century, mid-19th century, which was this great sort of Victorian extravaganza, looking at... And no, that's not what we're planning here, yes. That's right, yeah, don't worry, yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right. And also this is a country house in Gloucester, Sesencote House, which again, and these were built by so, you know, Victorians who were travelling across the world and being influenced by different architectures that they were seeing in different places. And so we thought, well, there is a rich tradition that we can build on, and Britain has a rich tradition of combining different kinds of architectural styles into its architecture here. One of the things we started to look at was the pattern work on the Cordoba Mosque, which is a European reference, really. And the pattern work on the building here, it's interesting because it offers us a certain amount of abstraction without being overtly kind of obviously Islamic in its styling. And so we thought that that could be a way of creating a building which has Muslim references, but it's also readable to people who are from different backgrounds, so that it's not specifically speaking to one particular community. And we started to look at the way in which that could be used on the facade of the building, and we're looking at using traditional materials, like we were saying, like materials which are reflected locally, so the local brick or the render, and also the elevational treatment would the irregularity of the elevation, because of the different things happening on each plan, could be worked into that kind of abstraction on the facades. This is on the Primrose Road side. It's very dark, actually, so you can't really see much, but you get the general idea. Now, as I said, we've been going through the scheme with the planners, and the planners have been offering some very constructive and diligent advice, so doing the job very diligently, looking at the scheme very carefully, and being quite tough with us, which is what they ought to be doing, really, but in a constructive way. So we've started to, one of the main issues was about the impact of the building that we might be proposing on the neighbours, as it were, and particularly on the Mulberry Way side. So we started to break down the massing of the building on the Mulberry Way side, particularly, so that we can minimise the impact and to create an acceptable level of massing on that side. So we pulled the building back. So this is actually Mulberry Way here. So these are just diagrams which go through the different stages that we went through in terms of the fourth attempt. That's right. So firstly, we pulled the building away from the boundary. So our first proposal was, can we build up to the boundary? So we pulled this part of the building away from the boundary, and also on the first floor. So this is lower ground. Well, there's a sort of lower ground, and then this is the second floor. So we've got ground here first and second, which is 1.5 floors up rather than 2 full floors up. But that would get stepped back again. So the building starts to step away from the Mulberry Way side. And also the roof element, again, is something that we started to look at in terms of can we minimise the impact of the roof. So we pulled that back again from the Mulberry Way side. So what the result, and also from the north side of the site that faces the car park, we started to push the building back that way. So what that means is that we start to get this kind of tiered massing on the rear part. Yeah, it sort of steps back on that corner. And then also, furthermore, we dropped the height of the roof of the rear part of the building so that we don't create one consistent, solid sort of mass, but we break up the massing so that when it's looked at from the street views, it reads similar in scale to the other buildings that are around it. So the blocks of housing that you have, and also some of the shop buildings, which aren't necessarily the same size as the footprint that you have here, but the massing is very similar to this. So when you look at it from along the street, you see it as a series of masses rather than one single object. And the plan that we're sort of working on at the moment, where we are right now with the plan, is this is the step back area from the Mulberry Way side. So we get this kind of forecourt. So it increases the width of the pavement on that side, and it makes it a much more attractive location. This is the residential entrance. So because we've got residential on the street here, we're keeping the residential entrance on this side, and the entrance to the actual centre is on the other side, facing the viaduct and the car park. So the idea here is that people who are coming by car would park here, or people who are coming by other means of transport. If you're coming on the tube, you might come along here, but you'd walk along this side of the building and in from this side, and again, whether you're in this car park and so on. So the activity in terms of coming and going would be located on this sort of north side of the building, which means that it's actually quite far away from any of the residential occupiers on the east side. This floor is the prayer hall. So you actually come in the main entrance, you step down a few steps, it's similar to as we do here, and you enter the prayer hall, which is on this level. Now it's quite important to note that the proposed prayer hall area is 218 square metres, and the existing prayer hall area is about 220 square metres. So it's actually, the area of prayer hall that we're proposing is actually the same as what there is here at the moment. So there isn't an increase in the size of the prayer hall. What we're increasing, because the footprint is slightly larger, what we're increasing is the facility. So we've got better ablution facilities, there's a larger lobby, there's a lift access to the upper floors, and there's another fire escape stair. And there's the residential stair and refuse obviously take up space on the ground floor as well. But the actual hall itself is the same size. The first floor sort of repeated plan, the community hall is on the first floor. So what that means is that people can come in from the entrance below. There's lift access to this floor, and they can also, there's also potentially a separate access if people want to use the community hall while the prayer hall is in use for religious activities. Then this hall can then be used quite independently And it means that a whole range of other activities can take place, so like the knitting or the yoga or whatever it was that they were just talking about. That can happen during prayer time, for example. The second floor would be the residential floor, so we're just working on internal layouts at the moment, but the configuration is that we have 4 flats like this. We've got the staircase and terrace. Each flat has adequate amenity space as required by planning. So this flat has this quite long terrace, and then terrace this side, and then one on the other side. And the terrace is also, particularly the one on the Primrose side, help to break up the massing of the building as well. And this is the roof plan. So what you have is this front block, which is slightly taller, as it were, because the roof is slightly higher, and the back block, which is more subordinate to the main block. And one of the things that we were looking at was the way in which this block here would relate to the pub on the corner there. So in terms of massing, it sort of forms a similar kind of end block in terms of its urban sort of location that the pub forms. And then after this front 3-story block, 2.5-story block, it drops down to sort of move into the residential areas. This is a section through near the residential entrance, so sort of further back along the site, just to show the relationship of the proposed building to the house on Mulberry Way. And we've got a separation distance of about 18 metres from the front of the house to the front of the building. Where we've got the residential floor, we've got a 20-metre separation, and then the roof is set back slightly further. So the angles, in terms of the light and daylight angles, they're within acceptable levels of impact, as it were. So we're not encroaching on the daylight and outlook of the houses in a way that's deemed to be detrimental to their enjoyment. Just some sort of massing images of the newer scheme. So this is the latest scheme that we're at the moment. So you can see the front block and the rear block. And again, this is looking from Mulberry Way down towards George Lane. And you can see distinctly this block here would relate to the pub, which is just there. It's not on that model at the moment. In terms of its kind of scale, I don't think it would be quite as big. We yet to get the height of that. But the kind of relationship would match it. So again, looking from this side. So now what you can see is that as compared to our first diagram, this really now starts to read as a much more broken down a sort of building which has a number of different things going on in terms of its configuration. From the Primrose side, again, we've got the balcony here, which helps to break up the mass. We set the entrance in, which means that we can have a little bit of a forecourt in front of the entrance doors as well. And then the size of this front part is similar in size to the corner pub. And looking along Mulberry Way, it means that from here, very dark again, I'm afraid, but from here, the building starts to set back away from the street. So we start to get this quite nice sort of forecourt, wider pavement area, which can be nicely paved. You can have a bit of greenery on it. And then because of the building's tiered, it's falling away, it's sort of stepping away further from this facade. And also because it's stepped back on that side, it means that that corner is even further in, as it were. So quite carefully. This is looking from the north side of the site. So there's no residential on this side, obviously, so we're kind of keeping the entrances and the sort of coming and going activity will be on this side. The second entrance door is going to be down here, which is also the escape stair, but also that serves as another entrance to the hall upstairs. And looking down and along Mulberry Way, you can see that it has a much more, a sort of a much better relationship to the street now as well. And that's it.
Lights, please. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, and for your presentation. I would now like to request
members of the audience, if they've got any questions, to raise their hands, and I'll take the questions one by one and ask
further clarification of the design.
Yeah, regarding the drawings that you have seen and the explanations that you have received on it. Any questions? So please, one by one, and we will ask the specialists to answer the questions. So, firstly, from my right, please, if there is anyone who would like to ask any questions on the right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi there. So my wife and I just moved into the area.
If you could just give us your name and...
Yeah, so it's Terence and Blanche, so we've just really moved into the area. So we live in Primrose Road.
Right.
I think it was one of the points that you raised earlier was around volume of traffic in terms of people attending. So was I right in picking up the fact that the traffic coming, or the number of people coming into the community centre is still going to be the same?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And in terms of parking, then you highlighted quite a few facts at the start in terms of the heavy restrictions that you have in terms of parking. So if the volume is going to be the same, presumably the parking levels traffic will still be the same as well. Is that right?
Yeah. Can I answer the questions for you? Because they relate to the local things. Yeah. As Dr. Fahim said, that we are going to strictly abide by the numbers that the council has permitted us in its initial planning consent, which is 250. When we did have that planning application, we received, we proposed and we submitted a traffic plan. And this travel plan was at a high cost to the centre. And it took into account the various facilities, parking facilities in the area, and also what we need to do to improve that. As a result of that, we also acquired in the same year the unused car parking facility, which for 8 years had been closed. And I'm very thankful to many members of the council who helped us achieve that objective. And we are now able to park about 65 to 70 cars in there. Not only that, we have parking facilities on the bridge, as well as 2 car parks on the other side. We have never had parking problems, especially after this acquisition. And we have a volunteer force who makes sure that people going in and coming out of the parking lots do not cause obstruction or create traffic jams. So we monitor the traffic. Regarding the people attending, as I've said to you, the numbers will remain same even after that. The facilities are increased, so we don't see that that will create any impact as such. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, just one further question,
Sure.
if that's okay. So the architect obviously has highlighted the development in terms of the building. One of my big concerns was how was that going to fit in with the local buildings that we have here. So I like the look of the new proposed centre, but I guess the thing for me is obviously the graphics which are shown on there are pretty black and white, and you can't really get a good idea of what that looks like. When would we be able to actually see some visual creations of what that will look like?
We'll probably start working on that. Yeah, we'll start. At the moment, we've been working on sort of preliminary looking at the kind of aesthetic approach, design approach, to get a sense of the way in which we may approach it. And then we've been working on layouts and massing to make sure we get the massing right. From now, probably sort of immediately, I think from next week onwards, we'll start now looking in more detail at how the building is going to look. And how we're going to treat it from an aesthetic and design point of view. So I would have thought probably in the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks we'll want to start to get some more sort of detailed images out. And I'm sure we'll probably...
I think what I was going to say, if you be kind enough to leave your email address with us, and we will keep you posted with all of the future plans, because things are changing as we sort of progressing, and we'll be more than happy to show you what we're designing or the color format. And if you have any input, we're more than happy to look at it. And of course, I mean, be contact with our website, and it's a book there as well. If you just leave your email address, and we will definitely make sure that we keep you informed of all the future plans, how's it progressing.
You could have another meeting.
Maybe you could. I thought it's difficult to organise it.
Sorry, I think what would be really helpful is to actually visualise for the residents exactly what it's going to look like. Yeah. It's very good to have the concepts here, and in principle, you can see how the designs have evolved and how we're taking into how you guys are taking into consideration the local community. But for me, it's actually, well, what is it going to really look like? And understand how that kind of fits in.
We will keep you in touch.
Yeah.
As I said, if you have an email address, we will make sure that we send you some plans.
Okay. I think actually another session like this,
maybe we should consider that.
We'll probably.
I think I would propose that once we've got a final design decided, a big colour picture of that. We've got a notice board on the outside, on the wall on the western side. We can put it on there as well, and we will welcome comments from anyone. We've got a suggestion box as well, so anyone can put in and give their suggestions as well. Thank you. This side, can you please state your name and...
Hi, my name's Maggie and I'm a resident in Mulberry Way. I'm pleased to come to this meeting and see your plans, and I value the fact that you have involved us to some extent. I'd just like to pick up on the fact of the gentleman has said there that your numbers are 250, but how many sessions do you have on a Friday of 250?
Yeah, we've got 2 sessions each Friday.
So we've got 500 people coming to the establishment each Friday?
Yeah, we've got 2 sessions, and they are spread between 3 hours, and this will still be the existing pattern that will continue. So we will still have not more than 250 people at any one time in the centre, which is the current situation.
Right, since you've had the car park, as a resident, I've noticed that things have improved considerably with the mosque. However, one thing that still causes an awful lot of annoyance and an awful lot of inconvenience is the use of the disabled badge. There are people that park, and I've got photographs, where if you're coming out of Primrose Road to turn left into Mulberry Way, you physically can't do it very well because you've got cars blocking the access. As a resident, I walk up and down this street a lot, and I see people getting out of a car that's got a disabled badge. They appear to be between 20 and 30. They hop, skip and a jump into the mosque. They parked inconsiderately, probably illegally, and I don't know their underlying medical condition, but it certainly doesn't look as if they've got anything that is disabled with them.
Can I say firstly that disabled badge users, even when they are coming to the centre on Fridays, we have asked them not to park in front of the mosque, and we give them facilities inside the car park. We purposely do that because we do not want to cause obstruction, because there is a bus that goes from here and it has to turn left into the road, and we do not want any public transport to have any inconvenience. So for that reason, let me finish please, and for that reason we make sure that our own stewards are standing outside. Now, if other people who are not members of the centre come and park, and I have taken up with the council on especially the parking spaces that they have now allocated just outside the centre for residents and business permit holders, which is about 3 spaces on this side and just 2 spaces on the left side of the car park. Now that has caused additional problems, and I've highlighted it to the council. Unfortunately, when we said that yellow lines should be put here, in fact double yellow lines should be put outside the centre so that there is no parking here, this was not adhered to our request. And since then, unilaterally, without consultation, the council has put 5 parking spaces outside the centre. Now that can cause problems because not the centre users, because they use the car park, it's other people who put the car parks, and it can have an impact when somebody is being dropped and there is double parking on the sides. So my request to those members of the council who are here, if they can look into that again, because this is going to cause problems. This is a centre which is very popular with children, evening classes, and usually where there are schools, there are zigzag lines, and instead of having zigzag lines, the council has put parking outside a utility of outside a building, which is a utility for children. So please, this needs to be taken into consideration.
Maybe we should take that on the board ourselves.
Sorry, can I just add to this, please? I do share your point of view, and I sympathize with you. Whether the person who's parking his car there and using a disabled badge belongs to the center or from outside, as they used to do it previously, they should be told off. If you could kindly take the picture next time, give it to us, we'll find out who is the owner of the car, and if he belongs to this center, we will take action immediately.
In all due respect, it's very intimidating to try to take a photograph of a car with a disabled thing on, because your members sort of gather round and look daggers at you and, you know, do threaten you because you do things like that.
No, I don't think so. I think if you said you saw the person running out of the car,
Yes.
a young person. Okay,
Coming to here. Coming
fine.
into here.
Just take after he has gone, just take the number plate, please. That's all.
And let us
Just
do it.
let us know, and just come into the center and say to brother Ibrahim or Zafar, anyone here, this is the picture of the person or the car of the person who is using this. Immediately, we'll take action. Immediately, we'll take action. We'll name and shame as we do.
That is very much appreciated. The other thing that causes residents quite a little bit of aggravation is the use of gentlemen urinating at the back of the mosque, and also, and I've seen it, and also down the alleyway. Are there going to be facilities for ablutions that are sufficient for in here?
Probably coming from the pub on the corner rather than from the mosque.
Excuse me, we have a very hygienic rules and regulation in Islam. We have to wash ourselves when we go to the toilet. We have to wash with water, and we must make sure.
I'm very familiar with Islamic traditions.
Yeah,
I've been to mosques all over the world, and I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is, I've actually walked down the road, and I have seen men with Islamic clothes on, and they're actually urinating, and it's been at the side of the mosque there. I've not actually seen this, but I have been told that people go down by the side of the garage, in that little between the alleyway leading to the car park, and men are urinating down there. I've not seen that. I've been told by other residents. Now, this is not actually very nice, and it's not really acceptable. And you know, you want to forge good community relations, and I'm telling you, this has been happening. So I would like, from our point of view, maybe things like that to emphasise that it's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable, of course, and I don't think, and I doubt 100% we have enough toilets here, and I doubt it. I fully agree with the lady there that what's happening is people from the pub there would come and do that.
I'm not talking about evenings. I'm actually talking, during the day.
During the day, the mosque and the center is open all the time. People can access the toilets.
If you let us know, do we have CCTV around the building?
We have CCTV cameras around the building as well. So please, just if you see anything happening like that, could you please report it immediately?
We certainly will.
Because this is the first time in my life I heard this is happening. Not even in a third world country. People go to the mosque in a third world country where they have shortage of toilets to use the toilet of the mosque to relieve themselves.
But it's things like that when we see it, obviously, are going to annoy in the local neighbourhood.
But did you see it yourself?
Sorry?
You said you didn't see it.
No, I said I saw them urinating at the corner of Primrose there. I didn't see it in the alleyway, but other residents have told me that. But I've actually seen men urinating over there. I've actually seen. No, it's men.
Okay.
The other thing is, could you just explain, because I didn't really quite get it, the necessity to have apartments in the building?
The necessity.
Yeah. This is a cultural and mosque or whatever, and in the second floor
we're having 4 flats.
Yeah. What was the reason for that?
To help to ease the housing problem in the area. If anybody would like to rent the flat, they are more than welcome.
It would be a flat for a family or individuals?
Yes, for families.
Families,
yes.
There were 2 and 1 bedroom flats.
2 bedroom and 1 bedroom flat. It's not a problem. Yeah. It's open. It's for anybody.
Okay, my name's Robert. I live in Mulberry Way as well. There's a long history with the centre and the disparity of numbers that you've quoted. In that, at one point, you went to the council and you would have a maximum of 150 in the congregation. Then somehow that's gone up to 250. Yet on your website now it says 350. So the numbers keep on changing, and every time you put a plan in, the building changes as well. Because before this was a bookshop, then it became a cultural centre, now it's a community centre, and now on your latest website it's actually listed as a mosque. And the whole development now seems to be changing the whole context of the area, in that this used to be quite a small terraced houses and everything, as your architect pointed out, single floor building, and now you want to build it up to a maximum of 2.5 or 3 storey with accommodation as well. So you're actually changing the whole context of this building, of what it used to be, because it's now no longer a community centre, it's actually going to be a centre with accommodation. Have you actually figured in the parking situation as well? These people are going to be living here, they're going to want parking, which wasn't taken into account with the flats in Primrose Road, and certainly wasn't taken into account in the flats in Pulteney Road. So
Right.
how does this going to impact?
You've raised 3 different things. Firstly, the usage. Secondly, you said these were houses. And thirdly, the parking.
Oh, you said there were flats and accommodation. I didn't.
The housing means the accommodation I'm talking about. The first thing is, this place was never a house. All these 3 buildings were commercial buildings. One was a bakery, one was a co-op store, and one was a gym.
One was a sweet shop. It used to be called a tuck shop.
That sweet shop was on the corner. I'm talking about these 2. One was a bakery, and this was co-op before it became the gym. So they were never residential. They were commercial, and they were at this end of the commercial urban centre. So the usage to community use has since improved. When this building we took over, there was drug users abusing the back of the building. Needles were thrown around the place and the car park as well. In fact, when we started implementing this new facility here, the facility here, we received people who came in and thanked us because we put lights on the street. There were old ladies living on Mulberry Way who said, we feared crossing this area in the night. And now we have a situation where you are providing us that safety because of the activity of the people. So the building has improved over the period of time, and its usage has improved. Now, we did start as a cultural community centre, which in last application, the council gave us the permission for the use as a mosque as well as the community centre. That's why we now put the facility as a mosque as a regular use. With regards to your numbers saying on the website as 350, no, we don't have it. I've got the website details here. If you want to have a look at it.
I've got a printout of it already.
Well, I've got it now here online. If you want to check it, it's
Qurani Murkuz Trust.
Yes,
you can come and see it.
It's 250 on the website. It's not 350, and we know because we applied for the application, and the application was for 250. So we cannot put something on the website which is not approved by the council. Otherwise, we'll be taken for violation of the council's approval, the consent. Now, the third thing is taking into context the use or the car park with the flats. The flats are 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom flat, taking into account that there is a car park, there is a car park opposite, there is public car parks around, and there is the station as well. So 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom flats do not require. 3-bedroom flats do require a car park, but for 2-bedroom
This is going to be parking-free development anyway.
Yeah, and the application with regards to the flats is on the basis that it is parking fee development. So we have taken those factors into account.
So then people who actually buy the flats, will they be eligible to Redbridge Council for residents parking them?
No, sorry, no, they will not be, because that would probably be one of the planning conditions that they can't. If you go around in London, I'm sure you're aware of it, majority of new development are parking-free developments. And
Yeah, that's a concern that happened in Pulteney Road when they built the 9 flats and then all of a sudden displaced the residents of Pulteney Road because they didn't have adequate parking.
See, these things all can be planning conditions, so if there's a planning condition, they will never be allowed to do that anyway.
Okay.
Anybody? Yeah.
Any other questions at the rear or at the front regarding the usage, or anyone who thinks that we are doing a good job, and if you would like to say a few words?
If I could just say, it's always, I prefer to just...
Yeah, I just want to say it's always difficult for me to hear, you know, and I'm not saying it, I'm not disputing if that was your experience, but about people urinating around the mosque and things like that. And I'm a Catholic girl, but my husband's Muslim and my children are Muslim. And one of the banes of my life is this routine around washing that, you know, exceeds all rationality in my experience. So when I hear that, I immediately think that just couldn't happen. So I just want to share that. And then the other thing I wanted to say as well is, and I'm saying it, I'm conscious that my little one is over there, but you know, on several times when my husband and my child have come to use the mosque and use the car park, there have been young people behaving in a very over-sexualized manner, and that's putting it very mildly. Now, my husband on several occasions has challenged that, and I'm aware that they come from Trinity School, which I find embarrassing, being a Catholic myself. So, and I have phoned up Trinity and asked them to deal with it. I'm an assistant head teacher myself, and I know some of the staff at Trinity. So again, I think it's always, you know, it's always easy to look at a culture and to point out what perceptions of a culture are, but it's also easy to ignore other cultures in this area, and certainly the over-sexualized behavior is something that I abhor. And also, I live locally, and you know, it bothers me that on a Friday night when my children are in bed, it's very noisy when the pubs come to kick out. So I'm not at all saying that you shouldn't challenge some of the behaviours that would impact and be different to the cultural expectations that you have. But from my perspective, you know, I certainly have issues from the non-Muslims in this area, and that's one thing. And just secondly, I think in terms of the use of the space, one of the things that my little one set up quite a few years ago, he had a mini Muslim group. And it was very much welcome for me because I just have a new baby and was very unwell for a prolonged period of time. So it was really, really, you know, supportive for me that he had somewhere local to come where I knew he was safe, and my husband could come back and support me when I was ill because he was looked after by other members of the congregation. And I know we have raised that we would like to I know that you have the mother and baby group, and I know that you have the group for the elderly, but I personally would like to see something more around kind of developing the social and emotional well-being of the children, because I know you have the Arabic classes and it is, you know, a religious institution, but also I think, you know, children are very vulnerable in today's society, and I think that there should be something of a social group within the mosque, looking at not necessarily a sat-down talk group about social and emotional aspects of being, but, you know, I mean, I offered to do a crochet group with a small group of girls, and I know we were interested in doing some other things like table tennis and things like that. We're not talking about huge numbers, but again, just for children to have somewhere to go, because, you know, maybe the children, if they had kind of a community centre, they wouldn't be inclined to use the car park in an inappropriate way. So I would like that to be considered as well.
Thank you, sister. We started children's kickboxing classes. We started the table tennis classes here. We started a football team as well, which has won some trophies as well. So there are activities, and on the sisters' side, there are knitting for the youngsters and other activities on weekends, which Sister Roxana holds, and there are youngsters, young girls coming to learn various activities like stitching, knitting, and doll making, flower arrangements, and things like that. So we try and arrange all sorts of activities for youngsters, and we would like to focus more on these once we have got a better facility to accommodate more of these activities in the center.
Can I just add something up?
Sure.
I mean, apart from doing this particular public relation exercise, we want to take you in a confidence what we're doing. We as a community really want to live with our local neighbors. Whatever something affects you or any misbehavior, please go on our website. Just send us a quick email. Just explain to us what's happening. We'll be more than happy to work with you. We're here to really are. I mean, even not only from planning point of view, after the planning as well. If something is affecting you as a local community, it is our problem. Please tell us, and we will do it. Without any question, without any hesitation, we will make sure it's been dealt with. Because in any community, you have 100 people. There are always few who will misbehave or who will do things different ways. So unless we know, we don't know. On Fridays, the busiest day, you probably see about 8 different people from 12 to 3 o'clock. They stand outside, they're directing the traffic, and we really take this on a board that our neighbors don't get affected by anything like that.
I would just like to add one more thing to this. A suggestion has come as a result of our invitation that has gone out individually to each door and the members who delivered those letters. And there was various things that came up, and we have taken on board some of those things. And what we intend to do is, once we have the new center building ready, we will hope to start a new meet and greet monthly meeting for neighbors so that they can come in, just have a chat, have a cup of tea, and just discuss issues that relate to the neighborhood. We have organized in the past for last couple of years when I saw that the neighborhood watch team was standing in the rain outside with the police and the neighbors, that I invited them inside and I asked them that they should use this center regularly for their meetings. And last year we had a whole year's meetings in this center. So I would also be sending, once the center is ready, that we hold a meet and greet monthly meeting, so that it's not just about the activities of the center, but the activities of the neighborhood and any problems that we have, so that we can discuss and we can approach them together to resolve them, so that if there is anyone who needs help with writing letters or getting legal advice or medical advice or something, that the center can offer those facilities from here to the neighborhood. And this would be one of the things that is planned.
Sir, I have 2 comments to make actually regarding what you have just said. I'm not claiming that the people who use this center are angels. They are not all angels. There are some of them who may misbehave, and we would tell them off to the extent that we would even bar them from coming here. Just as simple as that. So all I'm asking you, please, if you see anything which would cause any inconvenience, either to you or to any other member of the community, please do not hesitate either to send an email straight or use your mobile to take a picture and send it to us. At the same moment you send the email, we will be announcing, because I think about 2 years ago, one of the neighbors came and complained that someone is blocking her entrance. When we investigated, he was not a member of the congregation. He did not come here. There are some people in this area who try to create problems because they don't want us to be here. But fortunately or unfortunately, we are here and we are going to be here. But we have to, from the bottom of our hearts, we have to reassure our neighbors that we are here to ensure their convenience, their comfort, their freedom will never be violated. There is a verse in the Holy Quran which commands the people who come for the Friday prayer, a command from God. He says, once the prayer is over, once the prayer finishes, disperse in the land, disappear. Don't stand outside. Every Friday I say this. You can go on the website and you can listen to my talks. Every Friday I say to them, do not stand outside. If you want to talk, go into the car park or go next to the pub there and talk. But don't stand here to talk to each other. Just as simple. Because God knows very well that people will congregate outside. They will start to chat and socialize. This is not the place to socialize. And as I said earlier, we never use these doors. Never. Mr. Bondi lives opposite, and we never use these doors. These doors are for fire exit. They will appear also on the new plans. We must have fire exit on the same at the same place. But I reassure you that we will do our best to address any concern, even if people think it's trivial. No, it's not. It's not. I saw people in the car park dealing in drugs. I took pictures, sent it to the police. The police car was here immediately. They had nothing to do with the center. They jumped over the wall. They walked in, boys and girls, and I took a picture of them, and I sent the whole thing to the police. And I sat in my car. They came and punched, because I took a picture of them. They punched the window of my car. I was on my own. Okay, so there are people who would use the car park. There are people who dump rubbish very often. From the bridge, they dump rubbish, and we have to clear it, and we have to pay for it.
Could I ask you, does your congregation have to pay to use your car park?
Actually, they pay £1.
Okay, so at the weekends, when you...
No, free, only Friday. No, the car park is free. Okay. All week round, the car park is free. It's only £1, and it's not an obligation. It's like a donation. Okay.
Yes, because obviously, hearing that you've got marriages and lots of activities going on at the weekend, it's very difficult to park in Mulberry Way at the weekend. And if there are activities here, we'll get even more cars in the street.
No, actually, they are all in the car park. The car park. Actually, we had a marriage here on Saturday, which I came and I conducted. Half the car park was empty. There was nothing.